the one that's on the event page, um, but that wasn't working properly, so I had to start a new one. So she's
Oh,
trying to
okay.
get here. Um, it's past 6:30, so I'm opening up the Hangout. Um, I don't see any viewers online, so let's just chill out for a few minutes, but we should be starting soon. So, did
Okay.
you find the notes, Randy?
Nope, I have everything but I have the moderators the next coming week.
I'll email them to you. Hold on.
Okay. Why am I not looking?
We are so glad to have everybody here today. This is a special day to honor the mom. My mom is a great mom to me, and also a very good grandmother to our kids, and a great grandmother to Josh's kids. We went through a lot of difficult times. God is a mom that always wanted me. My mom is, I got kind, loving,
Okay.
I got it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I was looking all up and down that page. I checked everywhere. Maybe I don't know. I'm passing it on accident.
On the community page, not the page, but the community. There's two different places on Google.
I was checking the Facebook page.
Well, the notes should be, yeah, they're on the Facebook page, on the on the page as well as on the event screen.
Go back to this page. National Black Feminist. The first thing. Oh wait. Look at me. I'm right looking right at. The girl reading.
Now I'm concerned about Venita. Well, you'll have time to read them. I'm going to read through the community agreement.
Okay.
Um, so, all right, let me see if this is Venita. I don't know what happened to her. No.
Hey, Randy, you there?
Yeah,
Hi. Who's that,
I'm here.
Joelle?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
and
I'm here.
Georgette.
Oh boy. Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good. And I
Oh,
thought, how are you?
it's been a rough day, but I made it. Oh no.
Yeah. I thought I just saw Venita's icon pop up. Um, we were in another hangout, the one that you get to from the event page, but
Hmm.
it wasn't working properly, so I had to start a new one. But we're live already.
Okay. All right.
Um, so I was just kind of trying to wait on her.
Yeah.
Um, but that was 6:25 when I was talking to her. So
The
now I'm
new link works
concerned.
good. The other link,
Yeah,
it works fine. I was able to.
yeah. I always seem to have I think the problem is the link that's on the event page. When you create the event on Google,
Hmm.
it automatically puts in a link. But if you follow the link to the hangout is not right. Like something is always missing. Like the start broadcast button is missing, or key things like that.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. So then I'm always scrambling at the last minute to just set up a new hangout, and then when you do it like that, it seems to work properly. So I
Mm.
don't know. I think we've come a long way though, Randy. We've gotten better. I'm
Yep.
ready to teach somebody else how to do it.
Okay. Randy. That sounds like a job for Randy.
She disappeared on that,
He left.
right?
Oh no.
I'm waiting for
Benita, you made it back.
Yeah,
Can we see your pretty face, please?
I'm here.
Hey, there she is. Hey, Venita, how you doing?
Hi, G. How are you?
I'm all
Hey,
right.
how you doing,
Hi,
Venita?
Joel. Hi, Randy.
So we are actually live, and I don't know of anyone else that is planning to be here this evening. And there are quite a few things that I want to go over. So let's go ahead and get started. Um, Let me welcome everyone to the National Black Feminist Book Group. Um, we are in session 2, meaning this is the second book that we're reading. And this session goes on through October 14th. So we're toward the end of the book. You can find out more about us on Google Plus or Facebook or YouTube. Um, let's do our introductions. My name's Michelle Odom, and I'm one of the co-hosts of the book group. I'm located in New York, and and I'm going to be moderating tonight. So, Randy?
Hi, my name is Randy. I'm also one of the co-hosts. I am watching from Atlanta, and I am not moderating tonight.
Georgette?
Hi, my name is Georgette, and I am watching from Columbia, South Carolina.
And Joelle? Joelle, what's the proper way to say your name? Is it Joelle or is it Joel?
Joel. People say it all kind of ways. They say
What do you
Joel.
like?
It doesn't matter. You call me Joel, Joel, JJ. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So introduce yourself, please.
Um, Joel Jones from Charleston, South Carolina. Um, I'm on the fringes of this membership because I'm a male.
Oh.
We wouldn't say that. We wouldn't say that. We don't necessarily want you to be the leader of the group, though.
Neither would I want to be.
Oh, Venita.
Hi, my name is Venita Walker, and I'm hanging out from Cromwell, Connecticut. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So I have posted an updated list of, or a final list of moderators for this session. I think, Georgette, you're up for next week, is that right?
Yeah. I
And
got it
then,
next week.
okay, and then the following week, which is the last chapter of the book, is Venita on October 17th. And then I am hoping on October 14th to just have a final wrap-up session where we can kind of debrief this this experience. I'm going to set aside some time so we can talk about any of the subjects that we feel like we didn't cover thoroughly enough. Um, and then take a break. I'm planning to take a break after this session and then come back early in the new year. Um, and we're going to be reading Medical Apartheid, which I think had a tie vote when we voted at the start of this session. So that's that. And let's select a timekeeper for tonight. Randie, do you want to try it again, or
Yeah, I'll do it
somebody else?
again. I'll set a timer.
Okay. Okay. And I made some revisions to our community agreement. Some of us kind of talked about what might make for um, a better experience. So let me read through those really, really quickly, and you can also find them posted on our Google Plus community page. Number one, these are expectations for all participants, that we read the current chapter and notes. Number two, be on time and plan to stay until the end. Uh, there's also a note there that says, please make an effort not to miss any of the weekly meetings. We know this will happen occasionally, but please bear in mind it is disruptive to the group when there's a lot of in and out. Number three, your ticket to participation in the meeting is proof that you are in possession of the book. Please hold up your book to the camera upon entry to the Hangout. And our goal really is just to encourage that all members actually read the current selection so that their comments are directly related to the reading material. And I want to say, I guess I don't really plan to be hard line about any of this until we start session 3. But, I think everything here is pretty reasonable anyway. Number 4, one mic, meaning one person speaking at a time. Number 5, try to use the I person when you speak, like I think, I feel. I think we're pretty good about that. Number 6, try to limit our comments, our sharing, to 2.5 to 3 minutes. And if we feel like we need more than that, just ask the group, how they feel about that. Number 7, step up, step back, meaning if you're a person that is normally quiet, try to make an effort to step up because we want to hear what you're thinking. Everybody's ideas are important. And if you're a person that normally talks a lot, please step back. Koketso Marishane has joined the Hangout. Koketso, I can't see you. Where are you? I can't see him. I can't hear him. Wow. Well, I hope he gets in. He is my Facebook son. I have a Facebook son and a Facebook daughter and a Facebook husband and a Facebook wife.
Goodness.
He is my Facebook son. So, and he is joining us from South Africa, I believe. So
Wow.
I hope he can get in. Um, Guideline number 8 is co-creating a community of solidarity, meaning that we would show common courtesy toward each other, uplift each other whenever it's genuine, and assist in community building, like sharing and posting material that's related to our reading. I think everyone has access to be able to post things in the Google Plus community, so please feel free to do that. Number 9, limit profanity or comments you would not like to hear repeated on the air. Think before you speak. And that's it for participants. And then for moderators, we hope that you will write the notes and questions. The notes should include at least 3 key points from each chapter and 6 open-ended questions, meaning questions that require more than a yes or no answer. Number 2, remember this is not a formal classroom, lecture, or training experience. The role of the moderator is to elicit dialogue among those in the Hangout, and dialogue that is clearly related to our current reading. Number 3, encourage participation, especially from anyone who is being quiet. Help the members clarify or figure out what they're thinking. Number 4, with the timekeeper, help to ensure a smooth flow to the meeting. And then the role of the timekeeper is with the moderator, help to ensure a smooth flow to the meeting. At 2.5 minutes, please alert the speaker, even moderators, that they have 30 seconds left. And I'm not talking about, Randie, the part where we're reading the summary or the key points, but I'm talking about our responses to the questions. And then finally, when you get to the 3-minute point, call time and ask the speaker if they need an additional minute or so, and if so, give it to them. If they think they need more time than that, like, I know it's going to take me another 5 minutes to say that, please ask the group, if that's okay, because maybe we don't want to hear it. So that is it for that. If you have any questions or concerns or additions you'd like to see, please let me know. My email is rblackstory@gmail.com. And, we lost Koketso. That's it. And, again, always let me know if you would not like to be tagged. And I encourage you to share our videos that are found primarily on our YouTube page. And that's it. So let's go ahead and get started. This session we are reading Alice Walker's book, We Are the Ones We Have Been Waiting For, Inner Light in a Time of Darkness, Meditations. And tonight we have 3 chapters. Chapter 8, which is called Now That You Are With Me, Like My People, and the Dignity of the World, Letters of Hope, Letters of Love and Hope, the Story of the Cuban Five. Chapter 9, Meta to Muriel and Other Marvels, A Poet's Experience of Meditation. And Chapter 10, How It Feels to Know Someone Died for You, Living with the Voice of the Beloved. And basically, as we go through the notes, wherever you see one of those big letters, those drop caps, those are the questions that I particularly would like us to get to first. As usual, I have way more questions than we can possibly answer in this time frame, so those are the ones that I'm going to focus on. But as we read the key points, I want to read all of the key points. And whoever is doing the reading, please read all of the questions that are related to that key point. And then if there's one for us to answer, we'll stop to answer it. Okay, so I'll read the summary, which is, until our hearts are completely vanquished, our children will continue to hear from us. In chapter 8, Now That You Are With Me, Like My People, and the Dignity of the World, Letters of Love and Hope, the story of the Cuban Five, Walker uses the book she edited as a jump-off for discussing the issue of political prisoners, the prison industrial complex, and ways of maintaining our humanity in the face of it all. In chapter 9, Meta to Muriel and Other Marvels, A Poet's Experience of Meditation, Walker discusses use of meditation as a means of coping with all forms of loss and pain. She shares her view of heaven as more a verb than noun, and reflects on the importance of teachers and the need to share knowledge. In chapter 10, How It Feels to Know Someone Died for You, Living with the Voice of the Beloved, she explores grief and the ways we honor those who loved us by extending that love to the world. Okay, so can someone read on page 3, point A, and the first 3 questions?
Okay, I'll volunteer.
Okay.
Okay. Chapter 8, Now That You Are With Me, Like My People, and the Dignity of the World, Letters of Love and Hope, the story of the Cuban Five. The story of the Cuban Five is one of courage, great sacrifice, and love. It is a story for the ages, especially for those of our people who have suffered under the implacable oppression of white American supremacy. A rule of color and power the rest of the world appears destined to experience. In September 1998, 5 Cuban men, forgive me if I butcher their names.
I would just say their first names, Georgette.
Okay. Gerardo, Ramon, Antonio, Fernando, and Rene were arrested in Miami, Florida, and charged with espionage and other crimes against the U.S., meaning attempting to discover and alert their country of planned terrorist attacks, which Cuba has suffered for decades from Miami-based Cubans backed by the United States government. Though treated sadistically and given ridiculously long sentences, Americans have largely been silent about their plight. Where Walker would like where Walker would like to know are the people with the courage to insist that prisoners not be subjected to torture, that their children not be denied access to them, that their wives and mothers not be driven to despair by the many failed attempts they make to see their incarcerated kin, wrongly incarcerated in this case. And question 1 is, what is a political prisoner, and what is the difference between a political prisoner and a terrorist?
Let's read all the questions.
All of them? Okay. Number 2, who are some of the political prisoners we have already read about in the book group, session 1 or 2? Number 3, do you think Americans, for the most part, care if people are imprisoned unjustly, tortured, denied basic human rights, and denied access to their loved ones? Why or why not do you think this is the case?
Thank you. Okay, so question one, what is a political prisoner and what is the difference between a political prisoner and a terrorist? Anybody?
Well, am I hearing?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought someone was talking. I hear something in the background.
Oh no, I thought you were getting ready to talk.
Yeah, I was, but I heard noise in the background. I wasn't quite sure. A political prisoner is someone that's imprisoned that opposes or criticizes the government responsibly. And a terrorist is a person who, by coercion or fear, literally forces another person to adhere to what they believe. I mean, the definition I gave is very general. It can get very complicated because at some point, a political prisoner can interchange with a terrorist. I'll explain that. Example, a political prisoner can be, of course, they're in prison. And in prison, of course, you have all these sub-relationships and categories in which you fall in. So that political prisoner, in turn, can actually turn to a terrorist himself through affiliation. I think that answered the first part of the question. Everyone looks kind of like baffled.
Yeah. No, that's it.
Okay. I mean, the reason why I tried to make it simple is because, you know, both of those definitions are very complicated. It depends on how we as citizens, it depends on how the government defines terrorist or political prisoner. So I don't want to get into the whole political thing because that's why I just do that little thing in there. Okay.
Can I give it an example of that?
Sure.
An example of a political prisoner that turned terrorist and flip-flop would be Yasser Arafat, who at one time was a member of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and then he was considered a terrorist. Okay, and then he was considered a political prisoner and then a hero later on. Another example would be Nelson Mandela, who was a member of the ANC, which was considered a terrorist group, and then later on he was considered a political prisoner as well. So whoever is in charge really makes that determination.
Right. I agree. Whoever is in charge makes the determination. It is complicated because one man's political prisoner is somebody else's terrorist, and I think the only way to really tell the difference is to know what you believe in. And so when you can see that someone is fighting for things that you yourself agree with, then for you it's a political prisoner. But for those that disagree with what that person may be fighting for, it's a terrorist. So there's really not a clear distinction to be made. And it's why these are such scary times that we're living in. After the whole 9/11 situation, all kinds of people have been deemed to be terrorists, and like I said, the only way you can know is to know what you believe in. And if you don't know what you believe in, and that's a concern for me, that a lot of people, are not thinking about the world outside their own world um, in a deep enough way to know what they believe in. And and so when that's the case, then you can be easily manipulated. And the powers that be, or whoever's in charge, as Joel said, they count on us not thinking about much of anything beyond how we're going to feed, clothe, and entertain ourselves. So, okay, so let's move on. Can someone read point B and the questions associated?
I'll read it.
Okay.
Point B. Um,
On page 3.
okay. Letters of Love and Hope: The Story of the Cuban Five. It is a book written by Nancy Marishane and edited and introduced by Alice Walker, published in 2005. It includes between incarcerated fathers, sons, husbands, wives, children, and mothers attempting desperately to reconnect. I felt in my own body, wrote Walker, the long centuries of slavery and the systematic and to our ancestors insane focus of the slave owners on tearing families apart. How courageously so many of our ancestors must have defended or tried to defend this precious unit, the family. How many centuries it must have taken to almost conquer familial devotion. There are fathers among the hundreds of thousands in jail in the United States, and a huge number of mothers as well. What is happening to their children frequently follow their parents into a lifetime of encounters with police power, humiliation, loss of contact with society, incarceration. She describes the book as a primer that can be put to use immediately for the teaching of one of the most important lessons of all: how to be a father, how to be a husband, how to be a lover, how to parent when something as large and compassionless as the United States government stands between you and everything you love. Until our hearts are completely vanquished, our children will continue to hear from us. Question 4. Why do you suppose the slave owners try so hard to conquer familial devotion? Question 5. In what ways are families torn apart today, and do you think we are trying as hard as we did during chattel slavery to make sure our children hear from us? Question 6. What, as Alice Walker asked, is happening to the children of today's prisoners, and how do you suspect their experience will influence the world of the future?
And thank you. These are just things for us to think about. Can we have someone read point C?
Sure.
Cuba. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Who's that, Venita?
No, I think I was going to, but Joel can go on. Okay, Joel.
Wait, hold on a second, Joe. Koketso, can you hear us?
Sure.
Oh, it's so good to see you. Well, we can't see you. We have your icon. Can you see a way to turn on your camera? If you look to the top center of your screen.
The challenge is if I make it live, it will actually disturb my network coverage. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I can't understand what you said.
I'm just saying, if I turn on my left camera, it would actually disturb my network coverage. So by
it disturbs your
putting on
coverage.
my icon, it's just actually making it stronger.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, I'm so thrilled to have you here with us this evening. Welcome.
It's my pleasure. Sure, thank you.
Okay. Joel, let's go ahead with point C.
Cuba now has a 100% literacy rate, wrote Walker, who went on to say who went on to say she supports the 1959 Cuban Revolution because I also believe in freedom education, freedom healthcare, 100% literacy, and and other goals and accomplishment it has achieved. To be a revolutionary means, by definition, to be willing to sacrifice one's comforts, one's joy, one's health, and life if necessary. Like our own beloved uh, Jamal, likewise innocent, likewise framed, also a hero by standard, locked down on death row for so many pitiless years. These men are demonstrating something extraordinary that must not be missed by the rest of us. That continuing to love with uh, depth and tenderness honors resolution at the highest success. The Cuban love of education mirrors the passion with which African Americans have traditionally viewed knowledge and learning. My own parents, some of the poorest people in the United States, with almost no resources beyond determination, built the first school for black children in my community. It was immediately burned to the ground by white landowners. Incredibly, they, like the Cubans, were not swayed from their course, but managed somehow to erect another school. 7. Is there an idea in which you are willing to die for? If so, what is it? Are you familiar with the case of Jamal? If so, do you think we are doing enough to secure his freedom? Does it make any sense today to take a revolutionary stance if you believe the people will allow you to rot in prison without raising as much as a whimper? Uh,
Thank
why
you.
do why do you suppose Cuba focus so intensely on achieving 100% literacy rate?
Thank you. Okay. I guess I'll do point D. Walker asked us to consider these critical questions. Koketso, now we see you. Hey, can you hear us?
Sure.
I told
You.
everybody you're my Facebook son.
Some sort of
uh,
validation, eh?
yeah. Okay, question number 11, and this is one I want us to try to answer. But I'm going to first read both questions. What is your relationship to the prison industrial complex? Do you knowingly have one? Are your wonderfully inexpensive clothes, tires, toys made by people who are imprisoned for petty crimes you yourself might have committed, but because you are protected by status or wealth, you feel impervious to injustice? And then question 12, what is our responsibility to justice in a society that privatizes the building of prisons and dreams up reasons to build more and ways to keep them full? So let's try to tackle those questions. What is our responsibility? What is our relationship to the prison industrial complex? Anybody?
Okay, I'm going to throw in a little 2 cents here briefly. I think most people don't think about it because we think of, prison and the penal system as something that happens to people who somehow done something wrong. And most of us, I guess, feel we try to stay within the lines, and so we don't think that that barrel will ever be pointed at us, and then we'll be placed in the position. And we don't look at the products they make as being some form of slavery. We don't look at it because we think, well, okay. On the one hand, you hear the chatter that, well, they shouldn't have education, they shouldn't be teaching them in prisons. They shouldn't have TV. They shouldn't have access to cable and video. Well, what else? What are they going to do? Okay, they're not pressing license plates anymore. So now they're, working as a call center and making things. So, you would say, well, at least they're better off doing that instead of out robbing or whatever they were doing. But a lot of the people who are in prison aren't there for a real crime. I think it's a manufactured situation. And then I don't feel impervious to injustice. I don't think anybody who has any color in their skin feels impervious to, this kind of injustice. It's a matter of circumstances and where you are and who happens to pull you over at the time, or, I think it's more about fate, because even people who have money and a particular status, if it's the wrong person they come in contact, they're in jail too, and then they have to get their lawyer to get them out. So I was
Thank
under
you.
time.
That
Was
was
I
a
under my
lot more than
time?
2 cents.
I tried to keep it all
Randy,
in.
Huh?
Randy, are you still with us?
Yeah, I was just keeping time. She still had a minute and 15 left.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Um. Okay. Anybody else on that question?
Well, I'm just following.
Koketso?
I was just saying, I was just following this conversation. I'll join through later, and I'm actually I've officially got the whole elements of the whole conversation. Because my audible.
I can hear you. I'm adjusting to your accent. You have a little accent.
Just continue the conversation. I'll join briefly later in the middle of it. That's right.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
I'm just gonna piggyback off what Georgette said. Most of what she said, I agree with. I also, I never really thought about uh, people in America, prisoners in America, making things. You always see it's always broadcasted in media and in movies as if it's other countries' prisoners or people who are locked up there make our clothes and are actually pinpoint American prisoners who do so. And so when Alice Walker brought it up in her book, I thought it was very insightful because I hadn't thought about Americans being made to create so much of our things, especially because so much of our things are made from other countries, or at least the things that are affordable.
Yeah. Yeah. I I thought these were interesting questions, mostly because I think for myself, um, I don't think a lot about my relationship um, to the prison industrial complex. I don't actually have any personal friends that I know of that are on lockdown. Um, and so, um, I guess that's a part of the reason that I have been able to go through life without having to really think much about um, that whole system. And then in terms of the products that we use, I think I saw something on Facebook a couple of years ago, and I think it might have been a website or an app or something where you could actually go and look up products. And I'm not sure if it was products that were made by prisoners or products that were made, by poorly paid labor in other countries, something like that. Um, but I guess my point is that I don't think we have really an easy or widely known way of figuring out, what where our products are coming from, and who made them, and under what conditions they were made. Um, and that's just another way of helping us to not think about those things. Um, I think, um, I think in terms of the question 12, which I'm not really asking here, um, but I do think, one of our responsibilities is to try to come up with a way to figure those things out. The whole prison industrial complex.
30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Which is now so much about making money. Um, is really just coming up with ways to lock people out. And so I really think, as much as we have been unaware, that these are certainly the times for us to start figuring some of these things out, if only from our own self-interest.
I just looked up products made in prison. You can Google it. It's quite interesting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, anybody else on question 11? Okay. So let's move on to chapter 9, point E. Anybody?
All right. Chapter
Randie?
9. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, now.
Okay. Chapter 9, Meta to Muriel and Other Marvels, a Poet's Experience of Meditation. Although the ancient Chinese alerted us to the fact that one house move is equal to 3 fires, no one had told me how difficult it would be to separate from someone I loved deeply, did not wish to live with anymore. I came.
Oh, we're losing your sound.
Oh, what part did you hear me last?
From someone I love deeply but did not wish to live with anymore.
Okay.
I wonder if it's my connection though. Did everybody lose sound with Randie?
Yeah, I lost her when I heard I came, and then that was it. Was that the last
Okay.
thing you said?
Yeah.
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 Okay. I came to meditation then, as most people do, out of intensity of pain, loss, confusion, sadness, anxiety attacks, depression, suicidal inclinations, insomnia. Meditation has been a loyal friend to me. It has made many losses bearable. Not just the loss of my former friend, the man I married, but the loss of other loved ones, communities, cultures, species, worlds in this time we live in which to honor our broken hearts by peering quietly and regularly into the expanded opening, is to nurture a beginning to the recreation of hope. Question 13. Given all the losses Black people have experienced, the poverty, the incarceration, the assassinations, etc., do you genuinely believe it is possible to recreate hope in the face of such hopelessness? Why or why not? Question 14. Is hope a requirement for progress? Why or why not?
Okay. Thank you. Okay, question 13. Anybody? Given all the loss Black people have experienced, is it possible to recreate hope? Why or why not? Everybody's quiet tonight.
Yeah, well, even Venita. Come on, Venita. You don't see you.
Yeah.
We need you. We need your energy.
Are you feeling okay, Venita?
Yeah, I'm just a little fatigued, I guess.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
if you're asking about hope, I'm a girl that believes in unicorns. So, I believe there's always hope. However, in saying that, until the black family becomes unified again, until the black community becomes unified again, we won't be able to see the forest for the trees. So we have to start there first. But as far as hope is concerned, black folks are the most hopeful people in the world. We have hope when, all three letters, but the E is dangling. We still hold on to hope. So I really believe, I'm an optimist, that yes, I think that I'm still very hopeful, and I know that all of you are very hopeful. What we need to do is figure out how we're going to bring back the community, the kinship, the family, the self-respect to our community so we can move forward. But yeah, I believe it's hope.
Thank you. Especially since you gave an optimistic perspective. Um, I agree. I mean, I think there's always reason to hope. She is talking about, of course, using meditation um, as a method of helping us recreate or get in touch with our capacity for hope. Because really, um, if you can't find a reason to hope, um, it's hard to get out of bed in the morning and put one foot in front of the other. Hope is very essential. But that's not to gloss over the fact that we are looking at um, some very daunting challenges um, as human beings. We have our particular challenges in the black community, but they just had a major march. I think the largest the world has had in New York this past Sunday, looking at the climate change um, situation. Um, and so, that issue alone is enough to dampen our hope about the future. Um, but I still think we have to have it. My own way of sort of reconciling or coping with the magnitude of the challenges facing us um, is, I've probably talked before about my 500-year plan. How much time do I have, Randie?
1 second. It went away. You have 34 seconds. 33.
Oh, I was gonna say if it went away, then that means I have another 3 minutes.
You have 30 seconds left.
But you all have heard me talk about my 500-year plan, and as absurd as that may sound, I really have come to believe that if we could look at it like that, then instead of being hopeless, there's a lot of hopelessness, a lot of people that just don't believe there's anything that can be done. But I think if we could start to look at ourselves as a piece of a chain in a very long-term process, that we could focus on doing what we can do. Time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
Can I say one
Thank you.
thing, please?
Sure.
First, we have to learn to be still.
That's a good.
That's it.
We have to want what?
First, we have to learn to be still before we can take on any challenges. We have to learn to be still. And that's something most of us don't know how to do. Which
And
comes
that's
back,
I
we've
and I
been
guess
taught for so long.
that's Alice Walker's point about, trying to encourage the meditation.
Yes, I believe in meditation. If I don't meditate, I'll probably lose my mind every day. But even with us, a lot of folks I know being aware of meditation, they can't seem to stop long enough to meditate. So somebody has to tell them that it's okay. Because we've been taught that if we aren't moving constantly, if we're not doing something constantly, if we're not making something, pulling something, thinking something, then we're not useful. So I think we have to start changing the way we think and try to help others change the way they think. It's okay to be still. You don't have to always be doing something. That's where all the insomnia comes. Everyone thinks if they're not moving, they're not productive. You're not creating. You're not doing this or that. Well, you ever think about being still is probably when you have your most creative mind, as I do. So I think we have to work on that first. You think so,
Yeah.
Joel?
Oh yeah, I believe that. I think if you slow down and you let things come to you, one, you don't make as many mistakes, and I believe if you live and breathe the next day, there is a measure of hope um, that will come your way.
I agree. Anybody else?
Michelle, would you pronounce our new guest name?
Well, I pronounce it as Koketso Marishane. How do you pronounce it, Koketso?
It's Marishane. My
Say
audible.
it again.
Marishane?
Koketsu Marishani.
Yeah.
Okay. Koketsu Marishani. Okay. Let's move on to point F. Does somebody want to read that?
Sure, Georgette will.
Okay, I will read it. Okay. Metta is a meditation about loving kindness, sending thoughts out to significant others. The basic thoughts are, may you be happy, may you be safe, may you be peaceful, may you have ease of well-being. Sending Metta during a silent retreat led Walker to a consideration of heaven. Heaven, she wrote, now there's a thought. Nothing has ever been able ultimately to convince me we live anywhere else, and that heaven, more a verb than a noun, more a condition than a place, is about leading with the heart in whatever broken or ragged state it's in, stumbling forward in faith until from time to time we miraculously find our way to forgiveness, our way to letting go, our way to understanding, compassion, and peace. And then question 15 is, using Walker's definition, please tell us, what is your heaven?
Thank you. And point G, somebody? I think it's Venita's turn.
I see you smiling, Randy. I see you, Randy.
I wasn't even.
But you were speaking it, Randy. I can see it. I can see it. You know I can't see. I can't even find my glasses. That's why I've been reading.
Oh.
Joel, Joel, do you want to
Okay.
read that one?
Yes.
Let
Yes,
me.
ma'am. That
Okay.
teachers that teachers are so often poorly paid and little appreciated is a crime against humanity, Walker asserted. Where would we be as a world without those who perceive our ignorance and seek to eliminate it? She asked. We can see what has happened in in many parts of the world where knowledge is kept secret from people, especially from women and female children. Instantly, knowledge kept secret ceases to be knowledge. It becomes dogma and superstition. Knowledge actually requires sharing in order to exist. Walker's own life experience taught her children learn best when they are warm, well fed, and suitably dressed, and when they are seen and loved. And that is what we must insist upon across the planet. 16. Was there a special teacher in your life who taught you more than history or literature or science, but also how to live and to think and to relate to others with compassion? Asked Walker. 17. Why do we pay teachers pittance compared to professional athletes or entertainers?
Thank you. Why? Why do we
Can
pay
I
teachers?
can I
Mm-hmm.
answer that?
Sure.
Um, I think that's about the top 3%. Teachers and entertainers. However, I believe that if you make it comparably to other people in society besides just the entertainers, teachers are at the bottom of profession, period. But I think, in my opinion, is more of a gender issue because there are more females that are teachers. If it was a male dominant uh, profession, it would be people would make more, and they have that across the spectrum when it comes. If you can look in the hospitals where you have CNAs, if more CNAs were men, it'll probably be more income. So I think it's more of a gender thing than just the profession itself. Those genders that are male dominated, especially by Caucasian males, they pay more money.
That's an interesting point. Teachers used to be predominantly male
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
long time ago.
And they made more money.
Yeah.
Um, that's real interesting because women are supposed to cook, supposed to be in the kitchen, supposed to be very domestic. But when cooking becomes professional, they are
Right. Exactly.
men make more and women aren't seen as much, which is so ironic, considering that's supposed to be the woman's place. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
because you can look in it, and that's another good point too, Randy. You can look also in the food industry as well. The average layman that work in the food industry, the bunch of females, they make less money. But however, if they're a chef, which is male dominated, they're what? They're paid more money.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's a gender issue. That's when, looking at feminism, you look at,
Mhm.
women helping other women out and giving them the equality of living wages, and don't forget about other women on the bottom part of that spectrum. They would do themselves a lot of good, the ones at the top.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I kind of go out on a cloud when I think about this question. Um, I was thinking earlier that teachers, education, it's kind of like exercise. We know it's good for us, and we might even feel good when we do it, but we don't want to do it. so, Maybe we just don't value teachers because they are like giving us medicine versus entertainers and athletes um, who are just, making us happy. You know, without requiring, any heavy brain work uh, or anything like that. So I don't know, but it is, I definitely agree that it's a gender issue. Um, but I wish we cared more. I mean, we have so many places where in the news, of course, now is the situation with the girls in Nigeria. Bring back our girls, and um, and a part of that whole tangled web of issues going on there um, is the belief that girls do not deserve to be educated. Um, and so, it's very troubling. We here in the United States, we have textbooks being rewritten um, to change what we know to be facts about slavery and civil rights, voting rights, and that kind of thing. Um, and there's an ongoing and active um, challenge to the idea of sharing knowledge.
30
And
seconds.
okay, and I guess there always has been, certainly during slavery. Um, Black people were not allowed to read by law um, because the truth is that knowledge changes you. Knowledge is power, and so I think it's really a critical issue that we
Hi.
don't value teachers appropriately. Okay. Anybody else?
Hmm. I just wanted to interject there in that you brought up something that I was going to say about the issue of knowledge being power, and then if you create the idea in the masses that education is not desirable, that's not to be the most important thing, and then everything related to that, including the teachers, will not be valued either.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
if you're not teaching them how to think for themselves and think out of the box, that this is a tool, knowledge is a tool, information is a tool, then you've taken it to a different level. So now it's used as a tool against you. So now you don't even want the knowledge. It's become laborious, just as you said. We think about the assignments we're given. Oh, this, it's too much for you. But what's the purpose of it? To stretch your mind.
Mhm.
To
Mhm.
It's supposed to make you enjoy and want to learn more, but instead it makes you just want to get done with it and get on, to when the next bell, when your class is done, move
Right.
on to the next class and get done with that. Just training you to be a slave in the big system. So
Mhm.
I think that's the reason why teachers aren't valued, because they're part of the system to keep you under control. If you know
Mhm.
more, if you're allowed to think freely, you know, eh, um, like probably wealthier classes are, the elite, the top, elite, they're probably able to do this. They can move
Mhm.
and go to Paris. If you want, if they have a class on Paris, oh, they're flying to Paris. Okay, if you have that
Right.
ability, well, then that learning experience is much more, positive for you. But for the
Mhm.
majority of the people here in America, it's a negative experience. And
Mhm.
Well,
many
you
people
know,
Mhm.
can't even get into the class.
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
well, and you can also I also look at it like this here. The people that are closer to the product are the ones that make the less money. Anywhere you look at in our society, if you make the food, you make the less money, but you're doing the most work. The teachers, they're closer, they make the less money. Administrators and everybody else in the entire system, like Georgette said, they're just a part of the system. Oh, we're doing it for the children. Let's do it for the children. But if you want to do it for the children, you would be concerned about what the children is being fed and who's feeding the children and the qualifications and whether or not those people's needs are being taken care of.
May I make a couple points?
Sure.
I just lost my train of thought.
Okay.
I remember growing up and going to I was blessed enough to grow up in the city and go to an all-black elementary school. The principal was black, the vice principal was black, the music teacher was black, the gym teacher was black, everybody in that school. I remember the first white teacher that actually came to the school, and she was quote-unquote what you call the hippie. But it was a different way of teaching. First of all, I remember teachers years ago had for more state assistants because their salaries are so low. However, they have the unions that they have today. When my children went to school, a teacher cannot stay a minute after because that's not a part of the union contract. A teacher can't come in a minute earlier because that's not a part of the union contract. At one point, teaching as nursing and being a physician and all those what you call public service type jobs were considered public service. Once they turn to occupations, just like politics, here comes everything else. So I wouldn't just, it's a vicious cycle because all teachers aren't good either. Okay? A lot of people look at it as occupations, not as callings. It depends on what our society say that they need is the way people are geared to educate themselves at that time. 10 years ago it was finance. Now it's nursing. You got to push out nurses like they're pushing out the, in the factory. So do you think your quality of care is going to be good? No, it's looking at occupation now. So it's two sides. There's two sides of that coin where everyone's saying that teachers aren't paid enough. It also depends on where you're teaching. You can be teaching in the backwoods of Georgia and only be making $20,000 a year. You can come up to the north and be making $70,000. So it should, that's the problem. Once it became about money opposed to verbs, I think a lot of the issues started then. And when I was in school, I remember it was a calling. Teachers, we had to be to school at 7:45 in the morning. We did not get out to 3:40 in the afternoon. Teachers had to, after you got out of school, they stay after school, they check their papers. If they had any situations they want to discuss with parents, they were actually driving to your home. I remember, being in the back of the station wagon. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's two sides, and I just want to bring up that point that there's two sides to every story. It's just not poor teachers. It's also parents. It's also occupation versus calling. It takes a special person to be a teacher, a very special person. You have to want to do it. And it is more, to me, a public service type job. So that's what I believe.
Thank you.
Oh.
Let us move on.
Can we I know you. What is your definition of heaven?
I missed that. What'd you say, Randie?
I said what is your what is your heaven? That was a good question. I just wanted to know what people had to say. I guess we can come back to it. It's okay.
I couldn't hear your question.
Yeah.
She said, what is your definition of heaven?
I like that question.
Yes, good question.
That was on there. But we can come back to it.
Yeah, let's move on if we have time, because we still we still have quite a bit.
Okay.
Can someone read point H?
Would you like me to read it? Well, I can see.
Yeah.
Okay. If I struggle, I can't see, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Chapter 10. How it feels to know someone died for you. Living the voice of the beloved. Am I in the correct place, Michelle?
Yep.
Okay, so make sure. H. It had been his voice that urged both of us at separate times to return to the South to challenge apartheid of Mississippi, wrote Walker on the influence of Martin Luther King Jr. Had in her life and that of white Jewish man she would marry. I hear a lot of noise in the background.
I've been trying to let down the blinds so I can turn the
Actually,
light
it's a
on.
voice on.
Oh, okay.
Only in the South, I still believe, was he mourned as deeply as he deserved. Because as Southern-born people of color, we understood what a gift his life had offered us. His shining fierceness. Only in the South did so many of us retreat into so profound a sorrow as to appear to have been struck dumb. I could not bear to hear his voice for a very long time. We knew, never not to know, that he had died for us. We knew we had been completely loved, wrote Alice Walker on the death of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I firmly believe, she continued, there is no wholeness for a people, no promised land in view until that happens. A challenging thought. His offering of himself in love and faith was a forerunner of the promised land he would, at the end of his life, offer us. Number 18. If the power that be have assured us we will never have another lover like MLK, and if it is true, there is no wholeness for a people, no promised land in view until this happens. How will our children see this promised land?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And can someone read point I?
I will. Point I, Walker begins this chapter by writing, I want to talk to you about grief. Later in the journey, she shares a passage from her book, Meridian, where just following the funeral of Martin Luther King Jr. on the 4-mile walk behind the casket carrying his body, then she noticed it. As they walked, people began to engage each other in loud, even ringing conversation. They inquired about each other's jobs. They asked after each other's families. They conversed about the weather. And everywhere the call for Coca-Colas for food rang out. Popcorn appeared, and along their route, hot dog stands sprouted their broad, multicolored umbrellas. The sun came from behind the clouds, and the mourners removed their coats and loosened girdles and ties. Those who had never known it anyway dropped the favorite song, and there was a feeling of relief in the air of liberation that was repulsive. Question 19. Why was Walker, through her character Meridian Hill, repulsed by this scene? What is she saying about the way people grieve? Is there an appropriate way to mourn such a man as King? And if so, what might that be?
Okay. Thank you. Can someone read point J?
Okay, I'll read that. Okay, our communities did erupt in violence, many of them. Several went up in flames. The youth, especially, could no longer bear to consider nonviolence an option for changing the world. Guns flooded our neighborhoods, accompanied by the handiest painkiller, illegal drugs. Because it was pain, all of it. The rage, the laughter, the feeling of being relieved of a burden too noble for mere persecuted humans to bear. And underneath everything, the longing for the presence of the beloved, deeply missing him, the one who loved us and saw us and stayed with us, knowing he would not survive his blatant love for us, not survive his vibrant dancing life. Question 20. What does our turning to guns and drugs as ways of relieving our fears and pain say about our commitment to the nonviolent philosophy? Okay. You want me to read K and then 21 since it's right there?
Yes.
Okay. The message of his speech that by freeing ourselves nonviolently, we could also free our oppressor. And question 21 is it our job to free the oppressor?
Okay, thank you. Anybody? Question 20. Our commitment to nonviolence. I need to excuse myself for a moment. Venita, I thought you might want to talk about, you know, how you feel about guns versus.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. Okay.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay. Excuse me. All right. What does our turn to guns and drugs as a way of relieving our fears and pain say about our commitment to nonviolent philosophy? Not much.
True.
Not much. Once again, I just, I don't know what happened to us. I have no idea. I can't begin to answer the question or even address it because I simply, it's too big. You understand? This is so big. Drugs equal guns. And what it really amazes me is that it's almost as if I believe, we act as if these are new revelations. But I remember growing up in the city, there were gangs, there were guns in the 70s, in the 60s. There were plenty of drugs, but a lot of things still got done. So I don't even know how to address that. What are you thinking, Joel?
Well, I just think, I always like to look at everything in the holistic sense, when it comes to America, whether it's black, white, green, or blue, and of course it affects the African American community that, one, we've always been violent as a society, and then secondly, the society has always used drugs, and we can't be exclusive from that because we're trying to escape certain realities as well, and then, hey, how many times you gonna hit a brother before he shoots you back? But so violence is always there, but it really speaks of, in my opinion, how do we cope with certain issues and how do we move beyond the violence in our community, and why is drugs so accessible in our communities, and who's profiting from these drugs in our community and guns in our community. Because when you look at it, in my opinion, when you look at everything that's in America, you can look at white and black, but you really have to look at capitalism. Who's making money? And that's all they care about,
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? I think what I missed was a pro-violence discussion. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I just sometimes wonder, Were you saying something, Randie?
Oh, no, I can go after you.
Oh, okay. I'm being silly.
I know.
I was just wondering, you know, since it's always been guns around, always been drugs and violence, why is it some of us choose that route and some of us don't? A lot of us don't, and a lot of us do.
Mm-hmm.
Free to all our vices. That's what America has. Free to all our vices.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody went crazy, Joel. We done went crazy.
Randie.
Um, yeah, I was just gonna say, drugs are, we all know, are definitely, at least I believe, government mandated, and are also meant to be addicted to. And so, while I do get upset with a lot of us in the black community who react a certain way with drugs and who are on drugs, they're meant to be addicted to. You're not supposed to be able to take a drug and not be able to do it more than, that's not supposed to be your last time you do it. And I think we have to recognize that, which goes back to, I know, Michelle, you talk a lot about mental illness. We also need to talk about what does addiction really do to people, especially people who have mental illness, especially people who are trying to escape. Like my dad, he is a functional alcoholic, and when he drinks, he goes through 7 stages or the 5 stages of grief. Happy, he's mad, he's forgiven. He's like he literally changes every time, and it's because he's blocking a lot of stuff out. He refuses to talk about. One, because of patriarchy. Patriarchy tells men they can't cry, nothing can be wrong with them, they have to be strong. Because he's black, and he doesn't have the life he thought he would get. A whole bunch of stuff. Doesn't make his drinking and drug habit right, but I definitely understand it now than I did when I was younger. And I think we have to start having real conversations about what are the purposes of drugs and alcohol and why they're so accessible in our community. Because my mom has a house in Beaufort, which is considered a very nice neighborhood in Georgia, a city in Georgia, and I have to drive to a liquor store. I don't have to really. I can walk to one if I'm at my dad's house, and I don't know yet where a gun store is, but closer to Atlanta, inner city, they're all around. So I think that's definitely on
Accessibility.
purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely on purpose.
Well, capitalism at its worst.
Yeah, well, more than capitalism though, because as Randy's saying, depending on the neighborhood that you're in, how come capitalism isn't trying to make the money out in Beaufort? You know,
Exactly.
um, you know. But Randy, you're way ahead of understanding it than I was at your age, and I had quite a bit of drug addiction in my family, and and I still don't think that I understand it. I do think that human beings are much more fragile than we like to think we are, and it is clear to me that substance abuse, like other addictive behavior, is our way of coping with things that we think are bigger than us. In terms of the question, though, what it says about our commitment to the nonviolent philosophy, I think it says that we weren't really committed
No.
to that philosophy, that we didn't
No.
really believe that was the route. We tried it, and we were willing to try it. But when things got hot, as in all the assassinations and betrayals that were going on in that late 60s era, when things got hot, we fell back on what we knew. Um, which is violence. For me personally, I think that it is a human self-defense is a human right and a human instinct. Um, but in terms of mass social change,
30
I
seconds.
don't think I don't think it's the way to go. Um, I think that we are going to have to come to terms with how to do nonviolence in a way that we haven't seen yet. Um, so that's all I'll say about that for now. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I have 801 now. Of course, I have a couple of things left here. Um, are you guys available to stay a little while longer?
Sure,
Um,
I'm available.
I'm going to
Yeah.
leave now, Michelle. Um,
Okay.
I can't stand, longer tonight. Good
Yeah.
night, Randy. Good night, Joel. Good
Good
night,
Oh,
night.
Georgette.
good night,
Good night,
Venita. Hope
Michelle.
you
All
feel
right.
better.
Thank you. Have a good
Yeah.
evening.
All
Okay.
right.
Bye
Talk to
bye.
you later.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Does somebody want to read point L?
Point L.
Americans and African
Oh, go ahead, Joel.
Americans and African Americans too can be very materialistic. There are those who believe that because we can eat anywhere, sleep anywhere, buy houses, and even airplanes almost anywhere, we have arrived at the promised land. Or to be more accurate, they've arrived. Because there is still a huge problem of homelessness, sick and out of work people, the continued drugging of our youth in the communities across the nation, plus the 1.2 million African American men in prison. Someone else has confessed to the murder of for which how you pronounce this guy's name?
Mumia.
Muhammad
Mumia
Abu
Abu-Jamal.
Jamal has been on death row for over 20 years. Jamal is still behind bars. There is more. There is more the land promised by Bull Conyers and George Wallace, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and George Bush than the promised land seen by Dr. Martin Luther King. 22. If we really just don't care about the homeless or the sick or the unemployed or drug addicts or incarcerated, do we even deserve the love of King and Muma
Mumia.
or Mamiya? We are we worth saving? Is humanity worth saving? Is it reasonable to expect that the masses would risk their lives in the struggle so that the few can more easily pursue their own individualistic and materialistic agendas? If we can't be bothered to even know the names of our political prisoners, much less fall back to fight for their freedoms, why in the hell would anyone make such a sacrifice?
Thank you. And point M. Randy, you want to read that one?
Mm-hmm. War will never make us safe, Walker assures us. We are a people, African Americans, Amerindians, who have always welcomed the stranger. It has cost us, and yet it is a sure path to the promised land of freedom and justice than is war. Question 25. What do you think Walker means about friendliness and generosity being more certain paths to freedom and justice than war? 26. Are freedom and justice actually what the warmongers of the world are seeking? If not, what do they want? Is in part of
Okay.
okay.
No, no, and actually, I want to read in, and that is a poem called "Not Children" on page 175.
Okay.
War is no creative response, no matter the ignorant provocation. No more than taking a hatchet to your stepfather's head is, not to mention your husband's. It is something pathetic, a cowardly servant, too base emotions, too embarrassing to be spread out across the destitute globe. The only thing we need absolutely to leave behind, crying, lonely, in the dust. And then point O is, if we must fight the poor around the world, let it be with pillows filled with food and blankets, houses, donkeys, and chickens, heating fuel, and real cakes made of butter and flour and eggs and chocolate. We can easily afford this. If the war in Afghanistan and Iraq cost us $35 million a day, we could feed and house everyone on earth who needs it for far less. We could even throw in violins and bicycles. Generosity toward those less fortunate is the way of the future, if a future exists. Who are we, blessed with so much, to be stingy? Remember who we are. We are the people seen and loved, all of us. And then I want to read the two poems on 181 to 182. The first one is called "When We Let Spirit Lead Us." When we let Spirit lead us. When we let Spirit lead us, it is impossible to know where we are being led. All we know, all we can believe, all we can hope is that we are going home. That wherever Spirit takes us is where we live. The next one is called "Remember." Nothing is ever lost. It is only misplaced. If we look, we can find it again. Human kindness. And that concludes chapters 8 to 10. You know, when I set up the schedule, I just kind of looked at the number of pages in each chapter, and I think I tried to make each week approximately 30 pages. But there was just so much. Each one of these chapters is so rich, and you know, I know we can never get to everything, you know, with any book or any of the chapters. But I wanted to have us read each point out loud because I wanted to get that on video. And you know, and as I create the videos, I'll probably end up doing just separate segments with each point. Just to put those ideas out there, spread them around a little bit in the universe, because I loved these chapters. So it was a pleasure for me to do this. Randie, I feel like Alice Walker, like heaven is more of a verb, an action, what we do, how we do it. than a, and I really haven't talked a lot about religion. You know, religion and politics are are the two subjects people always say don't talk about. Of course, just labeling myself feminist is a political act. Um, but religion is one of those that kind of really takes me out because people get so rigid about their beliefs. Um, from my perspective, that's what they are, beliefs. You know, I don't think any of us actually knows factually where we came from or where we are going. Um, and so, you know, and and so in that regard, you know, one belief is maybe as good as another. Um, I don't know. I do believe that there is more going on here than meets the eye, um, and more going on here than is really within the grasp of human understanding. Um, you know, I think human beings use like something like less than, what is it, 10% or 2%?
Mhm.
What is it, Georgette?
It's
2%?
small. It's small.
And
I think it's what.
Some very
10% of the
small.
brain. Yeah.
Yeah, some very small percentage of our brain power. See, Georgette and I can't even remember what we used to know.
Yep.
You know, and so it's a big mystery what's going on out there in that other 95% of our own brains, you know, much less the universe. So I wouldn't say, you know, I would never say that I know, you know, absolutely anything. But my experience with most religious people, not my father, fortunately, but most religious people, is that they are very dogmatic about it, very rigid about it, and to the point that they want to force you to believe what they believe, um, and that makes me very uncomfortable. So, where's your heaven, Randie Danielle Henderson?
Um, well, I hope it's really not here. I hope that like I hope it's somewhere else.
Okay.
Because that would really suck. Uh, but I consider heaven. I don't know, when I'm at peace, when I'm with my family, when I'm with Mikey. Y'all saw him. Isn't he so cute? He's so cute.
Yeah.
He's so adorable. Is he gonna come back and be with us?
He is. He actually had. He usually works Tuesday, so right now he's at work, but he had that day off, so
Okay,
he
okay.
joined us. But I hope
Yeah,
for
he's
the moment it's just
adorable.
family. He's so cute, but I don't know. I
Yeah,
hope that it's. I wish that it wasn't something we had to die to see first. Um,
right.
if you know if what they say is true, I wish that it wasn't something we had to. I feel like if anything, black people should at least know, you know, that we at least going. But I just, but that's just me. But
Yeah, I understand. Anybody else?
Wow. Well, I don't know what it is. I mean, I used to because, well, when you grow up under religious parents and they have the Bible, King James Version, okay, or any other version, here they are talking to you about you've got to do certain things in this life and your reward is later. So, you're thinking about this place that's someplace later. But I've
Hmm.
been trying to break away from that, and I've been using meditation and just having an more open mind about it all. Because if this is that that sticking carrot that's been used by not only here in this country against oppressed people, but everywhere. And in every civilization, it looks like, the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. Confucianism, they had it in that too. You got to do something, you be this certain way, and then you'll be rewarded later. That idea, just that way, the way it's framed, can't be right. So I'm
Yeah.
looking, trying to, use meditation and other things to try to look within to find that link and try to access the rest of that percentage of my brain, because maybe that's the way to it, and then maybe I can create it for myself and not be
Mm-hmm.
so affected by external circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
because I really believe it's more than just this flesh and blood. So I'm not going to go way off into the
Mm-hmm.
metaphysical, but that's where I'm heading, because I really feel
Mm-hmm.
powerful, here in this, as a black woman, in this particular socioeconomic class. I don't feel powerful. I have no power. So I'm looking for it someplace else, some other way that supersedes, transcends the limitations that have been put on me. So that's where I'm trying. I'm searching. I'm still searching, Randy. I'm searching for it. That's what's up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Joel, you want the last word on heaven?
Well, I've always had the philosophy that, you know, every day you wake up, you make it you make it your heaven or your hell. And if there is something in the sweet by and by, you know, um, it'll take care of itself. But we have no clue. So I think the little bit of time that we have, we need to effect and be effective, and make a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
If we can find our purpose, I think my heaven would be my purpose if I can ever find it.
Yeah, yeah, you'd hate to show up to the pearly gates, half stepping.
It'll be too late then, right?
That's right.
Oops.
What's that name? Who? Jones. Jones. Oh no, brother, you got the wrong dough. Wrong dough.
That's right. You
You're down.
find your
You're you're
purpose. That
you're
is
you're down
right.
the you're down the room. You're down the street at the Klan meeting. How about that? There's your hell.
Oh man.
Oh no. Oh no. All
Serious.
right, everybody. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for showing up and participating and sharing all your thoughts. And I'll see you here next week reading our story together. Good night.
Good
All
night.
right.
Good
Excellent
night.
questions. Excellent questions. Good
Well,
night.
you saying last week wasn't excellent? What's wrong with you?
And then to
Conversation.
me.
Bye.
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 Bye. Everybody have a good week.